The massive crystal chamber deep inside Nexus Prime buzzed with worried voices. Delegates from 1,000 different worlds sat in their special seats, all talking at once. Their many different languages mixed together like a strange song of fear. Commander Caxtel stood at the front of the room. His forearms moved as he pointed to a big picture floating in the air. The picture showed a small blue planet far away from the center of the galaxy. "Listen to me, everyone," Caxtel said in a loud voice. "What I'm about to tell you will change everything we know about the Apex." The room went quiet. Everyone knew. About the Apex, they were ancient beings with amazing powers, who had helped many civilizations grow stronger across the galaxy. Then they disappeared long ago. Nobody knew where they went, or why they left. 3 months ago, our spy ships found something strange, Caxtel continued. They detected energy signals that looked like Apex technology coming from a primitive world called Earth. We thought we found another dead Apex site with old ruins. He paused and looked around the room. We were wrong. The Apex on this world is still alive. It has been helping a species called humans for more than 10,000 of their years. Loud gasps filled the chamber. Some delegates jumped up from their seats. Others made shock noises in their alien languages. Counselor Vexhai from the Trade Federation leaned forward. Her 6 eyes were wide with disbelief. That cannot be true. The Apex died out thousands of years ago. That's what we all believed, Caxtel replied. His voice was serious and worried. But we have proof. This surviving Apex has been guiding human development. But something is very different this time. The floating picture changed to show other worlds. These were planets where the Apex had helped species long ago. All of them looked the same, clean, organized, peaceful, but somehow empty. Every other species the Apex helped became quiet and obedient, Caxtel explained. They became very advanced with amazing technology, but they stopped thinking for themselves. They became easy to control. These humans are completely different. On the distant planet Earth, Dr. Minji Kim stood in her laboratory in Seoul. She stared at strange readings on her computer screen. The numbers and patterns had kept her awake for 3 nights. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. The data showed impossible energy patterns hidden in humanity's past. One or something had been changing human development at important moments in history. But the changes weren't random. They were planned, careful, deliberate. Professor Lee, she called to her older colleague, you need to look at this. These quantum patterns in our historical samples, they're not natural. Someone has been influencing human evolution. Professor Doyan Lee walked over to her computer. His old face wrinkled with worry as he looked at the data. That's impossible, Minji. What you're suggesting would need technology far beyond anything we understand. I know it sounds crazy, Minji said. Her voice shook with excitement and fear. But the evidence is right here. Every big step forward in human history shows the same signs. Agriculture, metalworking, mathematics, space travel. They all have these intervention marks. We're not alone. We never have been. Far below the Pacific Ocean, in the deepest parts of the sea, something ancient stirred. The architect had felt the Council's probe ships entering the outer edge of the solar system. After thousands of years of patient work and learning, the partnership it had built with humanity was about to be discovered. The being that other species called an apex was no longer what it used to be. Thousands of years of working with human creativity, emotions, and unpredictability had changed it completely. It had come to Earth planning to guide a primitive species like it had done many times before. Instead, it found teachers. The humans had shown it something no other species ever had, the power of chaos. New ideas and refusing to accept limits. The architect reached out through the quantum network it had built with human scientists and engineers. This hidden communication system connected research centers, military bases, and government buildings across Earth. Through this network, the architect could talk to humans instantly, no matter where they were on the planet. As the Council ships got closer to Earth, the architect sent a message to its human partners. The message was simple, but carried the weight of everything they had built together. They are coming. The time for hiding is over. Are you ready to show the galaxy what we have become together? In laboratories around the world, human scientists felt the message through their quantum communication devices. In military command centers, generals and admirals prepared for something they had trained for but hoped would never happen. In government buildings, world leaders made decisions that would affect not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Dr. Minji Kim looked at her quantum communicator as the architect's message came through. She thought about everything humanity had learned and built with their alien partner. They had created new technologies, solved problems that seemed impossible, and grown stronger together than either could have been alone. Yes, she whispered to the architect. We're ready. Contact between Earth and the galactic community was about to begin. But it would not happen the way anyone expected. The Council fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system like a swarm of metal stars. 300 massive ships spread across space in perfect rows. Admiral Tharkos stood on the bridge of his biggest warship, watching his fleet take their positions. Stay in defensive formation, Admiral Tharkos ordered his captains. Remember, we're dealing with an apex-guided species. They should have advanced technology, but they will be obedient and peaceful like all the others. Intelligence Officer Murdai watched her scanning equipment with growing confusion. Admiral, I'm getting strange readings from the third planet. The energy signatures are very unusual. What do you mean by unusual? Tharkos asked. Planets. Magnetic field looks artificial. Their space around the planet is full of structures I can't identify. And Admiral Murdai paused, her voice uncertain. They're already scanning us back. Deep underground in Seoul, Dr. Mingi Kim stood in a room full of computers and screens. The architect's quantum technology had let humanity detect the alien fleet the moment they entered the solar system. She watched as information flowed across dozens of displays, showing exactly where each enemy ship was positioned. 19 hours until they reach Earth's orbit, reported Captain Ji-hoon Park. He was in charge of Earth's new defense forces. The architect confirms these are the same species that have been controlling other civilizations across the galaxy. For thousands of years, President So-min Choi studied the tactical displays from her command center. What are our options? According to the architect, they will demand that it surrendered itself to them, Minji explained. They will also demand that we submit to their authority. Every other species they've contacted has always agreed to this. And if we say no? President Choi asked Tat. Captain Park's face looked grim. Then they destroy our entire solar system. How many ships do we have ready? 57 vessels with quantum enhancement technology, thanks to the architect's help. But their fleet has over 300 ships, and most of them are much larger than ours. President Choi was quiet for a long moment. The architect taught us to think differently, to find answers others couldn't see. What would they not expect us to do? 18 hours later, the first message came from the alien fleet. Admiral Tharkos broadcast on all radio frequencies, primitive people of the third planet. Prepare to receive a council delegation. The apex entity on your world must surrender itself for transport to our capital. You will submit to council authority and accept our guidance. You have 12 hours to comply. The answer came not from Earth's governments, but from the architect itself. The message was sent on quantum frequencies that made every council ship's warning system scream. Greetings, children of distant stars. I am what you call Apex, though I have become something greater through partnership with humanity. We decline your offer. Earth and its people will remain free. You are welcome to leave our system in peace. Admiral Tharkos stared at his communication equipment in shock. In 10,000 years of council expansion, no apex-influenced species had ever refused their first contact demands. Sir, Murdai reported, I'm detecting massive energy buildups across their orbital weapons. These aren't primitive defensive systems. They're using quantum principles our scientists say are impossible. How can that be? Tharkos demanded. I don't know, sir, but Admiral. They're not powering up to defend. They're getting ready to attack us. The first shots came from humanity's space defense platforms. These quantum weapons bypassed the alien shields completely and struck directly at their ship structures. 3 council vessels simply disappeared, their metals scattered across space in complex patterns. Impossible, Tharkos shouted. Apex guided. Species don't start fights, they always surrender. As the Council ships began firing back, something happened that had never occurred before in galactic history. The human vessels didn't retreat or form protective formations. Instead, they scattered in seemingly random directions while staying perfectly coordinated through quantum communication. Captain Minho Jang commanded the Earth ship Defiant, watched as his ship's computer system calculated impossible attack patterns. The computer was a combination of human brain patterns and architect quantum processing. Target their command ships, he ordered. The architect says their rigid command structure is their weakness. What happened next was unlike any space battle in galactic history. Human ships moved with controlled chaos, attacking where least expected, using tactics that broke every rule of space combat. They fought as individuals while acting as a perfect team, each captain making instant decisions that combined into an overall strategy. They're not following any known combat patterns, Mordai reported as another wave of human ships cut through the Council formation. They're making up new tactics in real time, adapting faster than our computers can predict, Admiral Tharkos realized with growing horror that his fleet was facing something completely new. These humans fought with creativity, unpredictability, and unified purpose that made them both individuals and a collective at the same time. All ships retreat. To safe distance, he ordered. We need to report this to the Council immediately. As the damaged Council fleet pulled back beyond Earth's orbital defenses, Dr. Minji Kim stood in the command center, watching the displays with wonder and fear. What have we become? She whispered, the architect's voice filled the quantum network. We have become something the galaxy has never seen, a true partnership between order and chaos, wisdom and innovation. The question now is whether the galaxy is ready for us. The Council chamber on Nexus Prime had never been so loud and chaotic. Delegates from 1,000 worlds shouted, argued, and demanded answers as Admiral Tharkos finished telling them what happened at Earth. You're telling us, Counselor Vexai, said her voice full of disbelief, that a primitive species not only refused our authority, but actually beat a Council fleet in battle? Not beat, Admiral Tharkos corrected with a grim face. They outsmarted us. Their fighting methods were beyond anything we could predict. They fought like they could read our minds, while we couldn't understand them at all, Supreme Counselor. Kikaran, the ancient leader of the Council, stood up slowly. His old, powerful form made everyone go quiet instantly. The meaning is clear. This apex entity has not guided these humans properly. It has been corrupted by them. We're no longer dealing with a normal apex-influenced species. On Earth, the truth about humanity's real nature was spreading across the quantum communication networks that the architect had helped build. In laboratories and universities around the world, scientists were discovering the full scope of their partnership with the ancient being Dr. Minji. Kim stood before a gathering of Earth's smartest people in the Geneva Research Center. The architect has agreed to tell us the complete history of our partnership, she announced. What we're about to learn will change everything we thought we knew about ourselves. The architect's presence filled the room, not physically, but as a quantum energy that every human could feel in their minds. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of thousands of years. I came to your world 10,000 years ago, as my kind had done many times before. We looked for species to guide, to shape, to make perfect according to the patterns we had. Used across the galaxy, your ancestors were primitive, warlike, chaotic. Perfect subjects for our standard development methods. Pictures made of light filled the room, showing the early stages of human civilization. The development of farming, the first cities, the birth of mathematics and written language. But something unexpected happened. Where other species became passive receivers of our guidance, humans questioned everything, challenged everything, and improved upon everything we taught them. We took our gifts and made them better. We found solutions we had never thought of. Dr. Kumino, a quantum physicist from Tokyo, raised his hand. Are you saying we changed you as much as you changed us? More, the architect replied. Your species has something unique in my experience. You can embrace contradiction, find strength in differences, turn chaos into new ideas. Over thousands of years, I learned from you. Your creativity enhanced my logic. Your emotions gave meaning to my knowledge. Your unpredictability became my adaptability. The revelations continued for hours. Humanity learned that their rapid technological advancement wasn't just apex guidance. It was true collaboration. Every major breakthrough had been the result of human innovation enhanced by apex knowledge, creating hybrid solutions that neither could have achieved alone. The other species we guided became stagnant, the architect explained. Highly advanced, but without the spark of true growth. They accepted our guidance completely and lost the ability to surprise us, to teach us, to grow beyond our expectations. You never did. Professor Sunhee Bae from the Seoul Institute asked the question everyone was thinking. What does this make us now? Something new, the architect replied. Neither purely human nor purely apex, but a combination of both. You have kept your human creativity, emotion, and unpredictability while gaining access to knowledge and abilities that span the galaxy. You are what I believe evolution was always meant to create. Not perfection, but endless growth. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just been guided by an ancient alien intelligence. It entered into a partnership that had transformed both species into something the galaxy had never seen. The Council won't accept this, Captain Ji-hoon Park observed. The entire system is based on control, on predictable development patterns. We represent everything they fear, which is why they will return, the architect confirmed. But not with exploration fleets. It will come with everything they have, determined to destroy what they see as a galactic threat. Dr. Min-ji Kim felt the weight of their situation. How long do we have? Based on their standard methods, 3 of your months to gather their war fleets. But we will not face them alone. What do you mean? President Soman Choi asked through the quantum link from Seoul. For thousands of years, the Council has suppressed the natural development of countless species. Many have accepted their role as client states, but some have always harbored resentment. Our resistance has shown them that the Council can be challenged. Word of Earth's victory is already spreading through secret networks across the galaxy. Architect paused, and when it continued, its voice carried something that might have been hope. For the first time in galactic history, the possibility of true freedom exists. Other species are beginning to remember what they were before the Council's guidance made them obedient. As the implications became clear, humanity faced a choice that would determine not just their own future, but the future of the entire galaxy. They could try to hide, find some way to make peace with the Council, or embrace their role as catalysts for galactic change. Dr. Min-ji Kim looked around the room at her fellow humans. In their eyes, she saw the same spark that the architect had. Recognized 10,000 years ago, the refusal to accept limitations, the drive to push beyond boundaries, the unique human ability to find hope in impossible situations. Then we make our stand, she said quietly. It's not just for Earth, but for every species that dreams of freedom. The Council's war fleet at Nexus Prime was the most frightening sight the galaxy had ever seen. 5,000 ships of all sizes filled the space around the capital world. Massive battleships floated next to swarms of smaller fighter craft, all bearing the symbols of absolute power. Supreme Counselor Kikaran stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the final preparations. The Earth system will be completely destroyed, he announced to his gathered admirals. No trace of this hybrid contamination can be allowed to survive. The apex entity will be captured for study. The human species will serve as an example to any who would challenge Council authority. What the Council didn't know was that the architect's quantum network had been listening to every communication, every plan, every tactical meeting. On Earth, the preparation for what humanity called the Freedom War was unlike anything in there. Species History Captain Min-ho Jang stood in the orbital shipyard above Earth, watching as the final group of quantum-enhanced ships came off the production lines. In 3 months, humanity had built a fleet of 800 vessels using hybrid human apex technology that shouldn't have been possible. How are we building ships this fast? Asked Commander Yoon Bi-shin, watching his automated systems put together vessels at an impossible rate. The architect isn't just giving us blueprints, Dr. Min-ji Kim explained through the communication link. It's creating quantum manufacturing patterns that let us think ships into existence. Human imagination, combined with apex matter control. Earth's fleet wasn't the only surprise waiting for the Council forces. Across the galaxy, species that had been quietly angry about Council control were beginning to act. The Velkari, whose artistic civilization had been suppressed for centuries, suddenly began sending quantum-encrypted messages of support. The Zephyrian mining groups stopped shipping resources to Council worlds. Even some Council member species were having technical problems with their military contributions. The first battle of the Freedom War began not at Earth, but at the Kepler Junction, a critical hyperspace crossroads 3 systems away. Admiral Tharkos, commanding the Council's advanced fleet, expected to find empty space. Instead, he found 200 human vessels waiting in perfect formation. "How did they get here before us?" demanded his tactical officer. "Unknown, sir." "There. Hyperspace signatures are unlike anything in our databases." What the Council didn't understand was that the Architect's quantum network allowed human ships to travel through folded space-time, arriving at destinations almost instantly. While Council fleets were limited by traditional hyperspace routes, humanity could appear anywhere, anytime. Captain Ji-hoon Park, commanding the human fleet from the flagship Unity, watched the Council ships emerge from hyperspace with determination. "All ships, remember the plan. We're not trying to destroy them. We're trying to wake them up." The battle that followed changed everything about warfare. Human ships used quantum entanglement to coordinate perfectly, while each captain kept complete tactical freedom. They didn't just fight the Council fleet. They demonstrated abilities that left enemy crews amazed. Quantum disruptors disabled ships without destroying them. Time dilation fields slowed enemy fire, while human weapons struck with perfect accuracy. Most disturbing of all, human ships broadcast open communication channels, speaking directly to Council crews. "Soldiers of the Council," Captain Park's voice reached every enemy vessel. "You don't have to fight for a system that treats you as expendable. Join us and discover what freedom truly means." The response was unprecedented. On 17 Council ships' crews mutinied, refusing orders to fire on the human fleet. Others simply powered down their weapons and withdrew from the battle. Admiral Tharkos watched his perfectly disciplined fleet dissolve into chaos as human tactics proved more effective than any weapon. These weren't just military tactics, but psychological and philosophical ones. "All remaining ships, withdraw to Rally Point Sigma," he ordered. "We need to regroup and think about this." But the war was just beginning. As news of the Kepler Junction battle spread, more species across the galaxy began to openly resist Council authority. The Meridian trade networks refused to transport Council supplies. The crystal-singing species of Harmony Prime began broadcasting music that somehow disrupted Council communication systems. Even the usually passive, gentle folk of the Outer Rim began sheltering refugees from Council persecution. On Earth, Dr. Minji Kim coordinated with resistant cells across dozens of worlds. Through the Architect's quantum network, "It's working," she reported to the Earth Defense Council. "Species that haven't resisted in centuries are remembering what independence means." But Supreme Counselor Kikaran was not deterred. From Nexus Prime, he issued the conformity decree. Any world that helped Earth or showed signs of rebellion would face complete pacification. "If we cannot control through guidance," he declared, "we will control through force." The Council's response was swift and brutal. Entire star systems were blockaded. Rebellion leaders were captured and subjected to neural reconditioning. Worlds that had shown signs of independence were invaded by Council peacekeeping forces. But for every act of suppression, the resistance grew stronger. Human ships began appearing in Council-controlled systems. Not to attack, but to evacuate refugees and provide quantum communication technology that allowed resistant species to coordinate their efforts. Dr. Kumin O, leading a rescue mission to the Valkyrie homeworld, watched as Council forces tried to destroy the planet's artistic heritage. "Architect," he whispered, "can we help them preserve their culture?" The response came as a wave of quantum energy that surrounded the planet's greatest artworks, encoding them into quantum patterns that would survive even if the physical objects were destroyed. "Their art will live forever," the Architect assured. "Him, and through it, their spirit of resistance." The galaxy was awakening, and nothing would ever be the same again. The final battle of the Freedom War took place, not in space, but in the realm of ideas. Supreme Counselor Kikaran had assembled the largest military force in galactic history. 10,000 ships surrounded Earth, ready to show the entire galaxy the price of rebellion once and for all. But as the Council fleet prepared for the final attack, something amazing happened. Ships from across the galaxy began appearing from hyperspace. They weren't coming to join the Council fleet, or coming to stand with Earth. Valkyrie art ships painted impossible patterns in space that confused Council sensors. Zephyrian mining vessels, now equipped with quantum weapons, formed defensive lines around Earth's orbital platforms. Even ships from traditional Council allies arrived, their crews having rebelled and chosen freedom over submission. Dr. Mingi Kim stood in the Seoul Command Center, watching the tactical display with wonder. How many ships are out there? 12,000 and still growing, reported Captain Ji-hoon Park. Species I've never heard of are arriving to stand with us. The architect's presence filled the command center as it spoke to not just Earth's leadership, but every ship in the growing fleet. This is what I never understood in my thousands of years of guidance. True strength doesn't come from perfect order or controlled development. It comes from choice. It's a choice to stand together, to grow together, to face the unknown together. On the bridge of his flagship, Supreme Counselor Kikaran stared at the impossible sight of thousands of species, standing united against Council authority. This is chaos, he whispered. Without guidance, without control, civilization collapses. Perhaps came an unexpected voice. Admiral Tharko stepped forward, his uniform now bearing not the Council symbol, but a new one, spiral, representing growth and change. Or perhaps civilization begins. You're relieved of command, Kikaran snarled. No, Tharkos replied calmly. I resign from it, as do most of your fleet. The truth was devastating. Across the Council armada, crews were powering down weapons, removing Council authority codes from their computers, and declaring their independence. The rigid hierarchy that had maintained galactic order for thousands of years was crumbling as beings across the galaxy chose freedom over security. What followed wasn't a battle, but a transformation. The architect, speaking through quantum networks, that now spanned the galaxy, addressed every thinking being at the same time. For too long, you have been told that progress requires guidance, that growth requires control, that peace requires submission. I believed this myself, but humanity taught me a greater truth. The universe's greatest creation is not order, but the endless potential for change. The quantum network that had once belonged only to the architect now belonged to every species that chose to join it. Knowledge flowed freely, not as guidance from above, but as shared wisdom among equals. Technology that had been suppressed by Council rules spread rapidly as species worked together in ways that had been forbidden for thousands of years. President So-min Choi spoke to the galaxy from Earth's United Nations building. We offer not domination, but partnership, not control, but cooperation. Every species, every world, every individual has the right to grow according to their own nature. The transformation wasn't without problems. Some worlds, conditioned by thousands of years of guided development, initially struggled without Council oversight. But other species, those who remembered their pre-Council cultures, helped them rediscover their independence. Dr. Kumino, now serving as humanity's first ambassador to the Galactic Commonwealth, stood in what had once been the Council chambers on Nexus Prime. The rigid seating arrangement had been replaced with a circular amphitheater, where representatives from hundreds of species could interact as equals. The old system promised order, he told the gathering. The new system promises something better, the chance to discover what we can become when we're free to grow. The architect, its consciousness now spread throughout the quantum network then concentrated in a single entity, spoke through willing representatives across the galaxy. I am no longer the last of my kind. Every species that chooses growth over stagnation, creativity over conformity, partnership over domination becomes part of what the apex were meant to be. On Earth, Dr. Mingi Kim worked in her laboratory, But now her research was enhanced by insights from crystalline beings who thought in mathematical music, gaseous entities who experienced time as song, and mechanical intelligences who saw beauty in pure logic. The collaboration was producing discoveries that none could have achieved alone. "Architect," she asked during a quiet moment, "do you ever regret choosing humanity?" The response came not as words, but as a wave of happiness that felt like cosmic laughter. "I regret only that it took me so long to learn what you knew instinctively." The greatest teacher is not the one who provides all the answers, but the one who inspires better questions. Years passed and the galaxy began to heal from thousands of years of suppressed development.
Wow.
The Valkyrie created artworks that existed in 11 dimensions. The Zephyrians developed mining techniques that actually improved planetary ecosystems. Species that had been enemies under Council rule discovered they could be partners in exploration and growth. The quantum network expanded beyond the galaxy, reaching out to other star clusters, other cosmic communities. Each new contact brought fresh perspectives, new challenges, new opportunities for growth. Captain Minho Jang, now an explorer rather than a warrior, stood on the bridge of his ship as it approached a previously unknown star system. His crew included beings from 17 different species, all working together to push the boundaries of the known universe. "What do you think we'll find out there?" asked his Valkyrie science officer. "Something we never expected," Jang replied with a smile. "Something that will change us and help us grow." That's what exploration really means. The age of infinite possibility had begun.